Michael Jackson, the king of pop, is what we know about this man. In truth, throughout history to this day, I probably can't name an entertainer with a greater influence on the world than Michael Jackson. A magnificent career, shining glory, and timeless songs are what people say about him. But that's not all. Few know that the king of pop had a life with many secrets hidden for years. From an unhappy childhood to terrible dark corners at the peak of his career, or his mysterious death. Countless theories surrounding Michael Jackson's life are still discussed today. Some say he was a member of the Illuminati. Others say he died from a drug overdose. So, what else about the life and death of this legend do we not yet know? Are the rumors about him true? We will find the answers in the video, Michael Jackson, the life and mysterious death of the King of Pop. As usual, before we start the main content, please support ADB Mysteries with a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss fascinating videos. And don't look away, because we're getting into the main content right now. Although we know Michael Jackson is extremely famous and information about him can be easily found on the internet, perhaps we should still briefly summarize that illustrious life to better understand the secrets in the latter part of this video. The suburbs of Gary, Indiana, in the 1950s were filled with smoke from steel mills and heavy industry factories of America during its industrialization. Born into a family of color with 9 siblings, Michael Jackson consequently grew up in poverty, belonging to the manual labor class of society. His parents, Joseph and Catherine Jackson, still tried to provide enough food and clothing for their children, and, most importantly, nurtured their love for music. Mr. Joseph worked at a steel mill and occasionally played R&B music with the group The Falcons. But it seems his love for his children was not as great as his love for music. Why is that? Because Mr. Joseph frequently used physical force on his children with belts, switches, and anything he could grab. Mr. Joseph forced his children to practice to the point of exhaustion, pouring all their time and energy into music. He believed that only music could help his children's lives escape poverty. Michael Jackson wrote in his autobiography that his youth was a haunting series of days. He wasn't allowed to play innocently like his peers. Instead, he had to live and work in a terrible environment like hell. Michael was once hung upside down by one leg from the ceiling by his father and beaten until his father was tired. The king of pop, in those years, often stood alone, crying in loneliness and sorrow. And that feeling of fear and nausea would haunt him later in life whenever his father appeared. In 1964, just old enough for first grade, Michael joined the family music group, the Jackson Brothers, consisting of members Marlon, Jackie, Tito, Michael, and Jermaine. The 5 brothers toured all over Indiana. After unexpected success with the song My Girl, the Jackson Brothers group became much more confident. They began organizing tours across states to Chicago, then Illinois, and even to the East Coast and Midwest. In 1966, the group changed its name to the Jackson 5, with the 2 main vocalists being Michael and his 3rd oldest brother, Jermaine. And surprisingly, the family group gradually achieved unexpected success. 2 years later, the Jackson 5 signed their first recording contract with Motown Records and began to make their mark on the American music scene. The group received much praise from audiences and music critics after their songs topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart for a long time. Although not yet an adult, Michael showed his natural talent when he released the singles Got to Be There, Ben, and Rockin' Robin just as he turned 14. Thanks to his children's initial success, Mr. Joseph decided to move the family to California in the 1970s. Their first home was at 1616 Queens Road, Los Angeles, and of course, it was bought with the money his sons earned from music. During this time, the Jackson Five were also called Jackson Mania by the press, implying that the audience's fervent admiration for the Jackson family had emerged. The Jackson Five later fell into a period of decline in 1975 as their relationship with Motown Records worsened. In 1976, the Jackson Five signed a contract with CBS Records. However, the group was sued by Motown Records for breaching their contract. But during this time, Michael began to have more success in his solo activities, writing and performing famous songs like Shake Your Body, This Place Hotel, and Can You Feel It? In 1978, while playing the role of the Scarecrow in the movie The Wiz alongside the legendary Diana Ross, Michael happened to meet Quincy Jones. They became friends and together planned to produce and release Michael's first solo album. 4 years later, when Michael Jackson's Thriller album was released in 1982, the role of the Jackson family group almost ended, opening up a glorious period in the solo career of the King of Pop. The Thriller album ranked as one of the most successful albums of all time in the U.S. and held the top spot on the music charts for a long time. Thriller is also one of the highest-selling albums ever, with over 107 million copies sold, becoming one of the albums with 7 top 10 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. But from here, a new chapter in Michael Jackson's career officially began. If it had to be given a name, people would probably call it Glory and Tragedy. Before Michael Jackson, it was rare for a black artist to have such a massive impact on the global entertainment industry as he did. With his talent and hard work, the King of Pop gradually claimed the most important positions in the glittering, multi-billion-dollar industry. Hold on. Michael Jackson was a black singer? He's white. Look again. He's even paler than I am. First, Michael was 100% a person of color. And second, he didn't use skin-whitening cream. That's right, the story of Michael Jackson's skin color is quite complex and not a happy one. In the early 1980s, Michael Jackson was the most talked about black singer in the media. He was hailed as an African-American star who received almost absolute support from white, Asian, and Native American audiences, and of course, most black people. Michael Jackson was a symbol of success and the upward struggle of black artists in the land of the free. The fledgling TV channel MTV, thanks to Michael Jackson, secured a paramount position in the entertainment world. However, things gradually changed. Take a look at this. Many fans were surprised that every time Michael Jackson appeared, his appearance, especially his skin color and face, changed significantly, no longer resembling a person of color. In 1992, Michael Jackson's skin clearly became whiter, and the media made it a hot topic of discussion. In response to the press, Michael did not deny the change in his skin, but explained that he had vitiligo, a skin pigmentation disorder. However, this explanation did not quell the indignation of the black community in America, who believed he was trying to escape his origins, wanting to transform into a white person to seek greater success in a society already notorious for racial discrimination. A New York plastic surgeon revealed that Michael had even undergone too many cosmetic procedures to alter his nose, teeth, jaw, chin, lips, and cheeks, and also used skin bleaching agents. Some tabloids in the U.S. spread rumors that Michael Jackson slept in a sealed oxygen chamber to prevent aging. But is that the truth? What really happened to the King of Pop's skin? Could a person be willing to deny their roots and skin color in exchange for fame and fortune? Perhaps the answer will be revealed by this man. His name is Arnold Klein, Michael Jackson's dermatologist when he was alive. He said that Jackson showed signs of vitiligo in 1983, a condition characterized by the loss of pigment in patches of skin. Not only that, the King of Pop also suffered from another terrible skin disease called lupus. And after 4 years of monitoring, in 1986, the doctor diagnosed Michael Jackson with both diseases, requiring medical intervention. But the truth was even more brutal. Vitiligo not only had a negative impact on the King of Pop's physical health, but it also caused Michael Jackson significant mental distress. The powerful impact of vitiligo on his body could cause psychological pressure. Michael Jackson used light-toned makeup and possibly skin depigmenting creams to cover the uneven patches caused by the disease. The creams made the singer's skin lighter, and with the effect of makeup, he could look very pale, as we often saw. But the public didn't understand. People continuously attacked Michael Jackson for his changing skin color. They said he was a terrible role model for black youth, or fabricated stories that he wanted to look more white to get roles in movies and television. However, in an interview with Oprah Winfrey in February 1993, Michael Jackson spoke directly about this issue. "As far as I know, there is no such thing as skin bleaching. I've never seen it. I don't know what it is." He officially admitted that he suffered from vitiligo and had to use makeup to hide the uneven skin. "It's something I cannot help. When people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me. It's my problem. I can't control it. But what about the millions of people who sit in the sun to get darker, to become something other than what they are? Nobody says anything about that." 62 million Americans at the time watched the interview, and they got their answer. Except for a few people who held a grudge against Michael Jackson, most probably sympathized with him rather than doubted him. And that very interview sparked a series of presentations about vitiligo, a disease very few people knew about before the interview took place. Michael Jackson always proudly declared he was a black man, and you can feel that more clearly in the letter he wrote to photographer William Pecci in 1988. "Maybe I see our world through rose-colored glasses, but I love everyone on this planet. That's why stories about racism really bother me, because I believe everyone has equal rights. I was taught that and will always believe it. I just can't understand why people can have conflicts just because of skin color. My body loves all races on Earth. Bigotry is a sign of ignorance. We come into this world with no clothes on, and that reminds me that I am the same, under these clothes, regardless of skin color or ethnicity." Not long after his death, tubes of benequin and hydroquinone were found in Michael Jackson's home. Both of these creams are skin depigmenting agents recommended for adults with vitiligo, covering over 50% of their body, to bleach the remaining pigment and make it match the color of the depigmented skin. Michael's autopsy confirmed that his vitiligo was real. The singer's skin was found to have a significant reduction in melanocytes, the cells that determine human skin color. So finally, after his death, the unjust accusation of denying his skin color that the world had placed on the King of Pop was clarified. Yet, it seemed fate had not finished with Michael Jackson. He still had another, bigger, more terrifying unresolved accusation that, to this day, has not been proven, even decades after he passed away. Do you know which unresolved accusation we are talking about? "No snowflake is innocent." That's what a Canadian artist once said. And the allegations against Michael Jackson unfortunately fit that saying all too well. The story begins here. Look at this estate. It's called Neverland. That's right, you heard correctly, just like the name of the magical land in the famous Peter Pan movie. Michael Jackson bought the property located in the hills of the Santa Ynez Valley in Santa Barbara County, California in 1987 for about $19.5 million. Without even converting, people know how enormous that sum was over 30 years ago. At Neverland, Michael Jackson built his own playground with an amusement park, a lake, a movie theater, and a zoo. The place was described as an America from decades past, a place for a lucky child to grow up. It had white gazebos, ornate lampposts, and meticulously cared-for lawns and flower beds, a treehouse, a mock Native American village, free and always available candy, and music played from speakers hidden in the rocks. One of the zoo's residents, the chimpanzee Bubbles, became Michael Jackson's most famous companion. Famous friends were often hosted here by Jackson. In 1991, the King of Pop's confidant, actress Elizabeth Taylor, who had once gifted an elephant to the Neverland Zoo, held her wedding to her seventh husband, Larry Fortensky, at this location. But the figures who garnered the most attention weren't these celebrities, but children. Children were also often brought to Neverland by Jackson through sleepovers for child stars like Macaulay Culkin, and children selected from charities Michael Jackson was involved with. And children are the source of the unresolved accusation that Michael Jackson still bears to this day. The King of Pop was accused multiple times of abusing children at his estate. 10 years after his death, the 4-hour documentary Leaving Neverland by director Dan Reed once again sparked endless controversy about whether or not the King of Pop abused children. The film's content revolves around the accusations of Wade Robson, 36, a choreographer, and James Safechuck, 42, a programmer, against Michael Jackson. Thus, two men had previously filed lawsuits against Michael Jackson, alleging the legendary singer had sexually abused them when they were children in the late 1980s. However, the lawsuits were later dismissed by the court due to a lack of concrete evidence. Before the film officially premiered, the Sundance Film Festival director, John Cooper, arranged for a medical team to be on standby to assist anyone who had issues watching the work, which graphically depicted child abuse. But what did the movie say? James Safechuck revealed that Michael Jackson once took him, then a teenager, to various luxury stores and had him try on jewelry. Michael Jackson explained to the salesperson that he wanted to buy a gift for a woman, so Safechuck's small hands were helpful for estimating the size. Afterward, Michael Jackson bought a diamond-studded gold ring and gave it to him in a mock wedding. They even exchanged vows and nearly completed a wedding ceremony. In Leaving Neverland, James Safechuck publicly showed the ring, emphasizing that Michael Jackson used expensive jewelry in exchange for sex, and that is the ring you are seeing on the screen. At the height of their friendship, as Michael Jackson defined his relationships with the boys, he bought Wade Robson, the second accuser featured in the film, a fax machine. That was a hot piece of technology in the late 1980s, often used by the King of Pop to send messages or receive letters from fans. Furthermore, the Neverland paradise we all admired had secrets everywhere, secret locations, including a private room inside Michael Jackson's home theater. This room used one-way glass, allowing one to see out from the inside, but people outside could not see in. Neverland's train station also had a hidden attic with a bed. Additionally, places like the swimming pool and hot tub were also alleged to be locations where the King of Pop's child abuse took place. With so many ambiguities and a lack of concrete evidence from both sides, the battle over the authenticity of Leaving Neverland continues to rage. The conflict between Americans, communities who love the pop legend, and social organizations for children against the accusers is still very large. It can be said that people have never had to ponder so much about a star, as no one knows whether to believe the evidence and arguments of the lawsuit or to listen to the living witnesses who have struggled for almost their entire lives to bring this shocking story to light. To this day, those allegations have not been clarified. The King of Pop is no longer here to defend himself. What will happen to this icon? That 2019 documentary, although it spoke of terrible things, had no convincing evidence. It was just the words of two people, with no way to verify their honesty. Even the ring, the physical evidence, could easily deceive those prejudiced against Michael Jackson, as no one knows what it really looked like. And 2019 was not the first time Michael Jackson was accused of child abuse. Previously, those who tried to tarnish the King of Pop's honor had all failed. In mid-1993, Jackson was accused of child sexual abuse by a 13-year-old boy, Jordan Chandler, and his father, Evan Chandler. He began using drugs to reduce stress and quickly became addicted. The Chandler family demanded compensation, but was refused. Instead, the singer countersued them for extortion. In August 1993, police searched Jackson's private residence and found photo books of nude boys in his bedroom. Because they were all legally purchased and owned, the grand jury decided not to indict Jackson. In December 1993, Jordan Chandler gave police a description of the singer's genitals. Members of the grand jury concluded they did not match, but the police claimed they were accurate. By 1994, Michael reached a private settlement with the Chandler family out of court. The matter ended, and the King of Pop was declared not guilty due to insufficient evidence. In 2003, in an episode of the documentary series Living with Michael Jackson, he held hands with and talked about sleeping in the same bed as a young boy. The controversy erupted once again, with the main character, a boy named Gavin Arvizo, and his mother accusing Jackson of inappropriate behavior. He was arrested in November 2003 and charged with 7 counts of child molestation and 2 counts of administering an intoxicant related to the boy Arvizo. In the program, Jackson denied everything and insisted the sleepovers were not sexual in nature. The trial began on January 31, 2005, and lasted 5 months. And just over a month later, Jackson was once again acquitted. A life full of glory and turmoil passed. Yet even in death, Michael Jackson found no peace. Even his death itself is a topic that people have debated over and over for many years. On June 25, 2009, singer Michael Jackson passed away at his rented home in Los Angeles. According to the autopsy and conclusion, Michael Jackson died from acute propofol intoxication, leading to respiratory failure at his private residence. His personal physician, Conrad Murray, stated that he found Michael Jackson in his room, barely breathing, on his bed. Michael Jackson was quickly given medical treatment at home, but it seemed all the doctor's efforts could not save him. After a call to 911 at 12:20 p.m., Michael Jackson was pronounced dead at the UCLA Ronald Reagan Medical Center. Michael Jackson's death was a tremendous loss for pop music and created a somber atmosphere around the world. For fans, the King of Pop still held great appeal and influence. He passed away while preparing for a series of comeback shows in Europe. On August 28, 2009, the Los Angeles County coroner ruled Michael Jackson's death a homicide. It would be 2 years before the legal battle over who was responsible for his sudden death was investigated and clarified. Because, even if it wasn't direct murder, it could still be manslaughter. The first person suspected and investigated was, of course, Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael Jackson's personal physician. According to Conrad Murray's testimony, he had been using propofol, an anesthetic used in surgery, to help Michael Jackson sleep throughout the night for the last 2 months of his life. This meant that in his final days, Michael Jackson's mental health was so severe, it prevented him from sleeping. Dr. Conrad Murray was eventually charged with involuntary manslaughter in the death of the King of Pop. This brought some satisfaction and contentment to Michael Jackson's fans and family. But surprisingly, the doctor seemed unworried. He believed he had done the right thing and served his client's wishes. He had his reasons for giving Michael Jackson that drug. Conrad Murray was uncooperative and denied all allegations against him. This prevented the trial from proceeding smoothly. Not only that, Conrad Murray stunned the judge and the public by claiming Michael Jackson was a drug addict and that the King of Pop had begged him for medication to help him sleep. Dr. Conrad Murray's lawyer, who was on trial for manslaughter, proposed the theory that Michael Jackson himself had ended his own life by self-administering an overdose of propofol. In an attempt to prove his client's innocence, the lawyer requested that Michael Jackson's grave be exhumed. Of course, that was never going to happen. On the other hand, the prosecution had its own ways to prove the accusations against Dr. Murray. Two of the world's leading experts on propofol were called as expert witnesses for the prosecution. The first was Dr. Paul White, known as the father of propofol for his research on the drug. The second was Dr. Stephen Schaefer, who wrote the guidelines and warnings included with every vial of the drug. The two doctors testified based on their expertise. Testing Michael Jackson's tissue samples, it was found that in addition to the surgical anesthetic propofol, Michael Jackson was also given two other sedatives, lorazepam and midazolam, almost every night for the last 2 months of his life. To counter this, Dr. Conrad Murray's defense attorney pointed out that Dr. Murray was trying to wean Michael Jackson off the drug by prescribing propofol at a dose of 25 milligrams, enough to help patient Michael Jackson sleep, not to kill him. But whether they liked it or not, the defendant Conrad Murray and his lawyer could not deny the fact that the doctor had managed the medication poorly. For example, after administering the drug to the patient, he failed to use equipment to monitor heart rate, breathing, and blood pressure, leading to abnormalities that the doctor could not handle in time. More notably, after discovering Michael Jackson showed signs of stopped breathing, Dr. Conrad Murray ordered a bodyguard to hide all the medications before calling for an ambulance. This proves Conrad Murray recognized his negligence when the incident occurred, and furthermore, he definitely had a plan to cover up his wrongdoing. It was determined that Dr. Conrad Murray had acted recklessly and deceitfully, leading to the death of superstar Michael Jackson. It was a criminal act, not simply medical malpractice. This was a crime that ultimately resulted in the death of a human being. In the final statement, and after considering mitigating factors, the Los Angeles judge declared, "It is important to distinguish between crimes. Many people think this is a case of medical malpractice, but it is not. It is a case of criminal negligence, the manslaughter of Michael Jackson. A person is criminally negligent when their actions are reckless, disregard human life, and are indifferent to the consequences. In fact, Michael Jackson died because of Conrad Murray's irresponsible actions. Conrad Murray crossed the line in treating his patient and caused the consequence of manslaughter. The evidence in the case shows a continuous pattern of deception by the doctor, that Mr. Conrad Murray lied repeatedly and showed no remorse. Dr. Conrad Murray gave Michael Jackson the extremely powerful drug propofol, but did not monitor the patient carefully. Michael Jackson placed too much trust in Dr. Conrad Murray, and it cost him his life. After a series of arguments and evidence, the Los Angeles Superior Court sentenced Dr. Conrad Murray to 4 years in county jail for his involuntary manslaughter conviction. The judge stated the doctor showed no remorse and did not understand the gravity of his mistake, which made him a danger to society. However, Dr. Murray ultimately served only half of his 4-year sentence. Although he began serving his sentence in November 2011, Conrad Murray was released early in October 2013 due to good behavior and prison overcrowding. I bet that even now, many people still listen to Michael Jackson's immortal songs over and over. It's probably no longer just music, but also a memory, an icon for an entire generation or a historical period. When will Michael Jackson finally rest in peace? And when will the allegations against him be clarified? When will the world forget there was once a figure called the King of Pop? Perhaps only time will give us the most accurate answer. Thank you very much for your viewership and support in today's video. This video ends here. ADB Mysteries and the team say goodbye and look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Have a great day, everyone.